can you see this person's perspective, but can you see beyond this barrier that is in front of you right now? And we do get to that place of gratitude and actually appreciation. Now, it takes us refusing to stay in a victim mindset in order to do that.
Hello, everybody. We're doing our nighttime version. We've been keeping we keep at noon on Wednesdays. We have our vault shows, and we are using our 5 o'clock time as our live time. How are you, Teri Pugh?
I am doing fantastic. How are you?
I like those little spiky things that you put on your shoes to walk through the ice. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, I think everybody that's in any kind of ice could benefit from those.
Well, I have an old pair of golf shoes that I used that way, that, back when we used to have the metal spikes, and those actually worked pretty darn good too. So, I mean, I'm not golfing anymore, but I didn't love golf, but I had the shoes. So they've been repurposed. I'm doing good. It's a kind of here in Middle Tennessee, it is a wet and nasty day. It is just rain everywhere. And somebody will say, we need the rain. So we need the rain.
We've got some drizzly stuff up here. It's not, I mean, it's weather, we're supposed to get a little snow, so I'm good with it. I don't mind it. Just, it's either it's super hot or it's super wet or it's super cold, and I'm breathing. So I'm grateful on any of them.
Well, Elizabeth is here. She's on Facebook. Michelle is here on YouTube. And Elizabeth says they work for ice in the winter and aerating the lawn in the summer. Hey, I like that.
There you go.
That's perfect. Just don't wear them on your wood floors and you'll be good.
Right.
Teri, can we do, this is kind of the old school life coaching stuff. When people hit a certain age, now it doesn't have to be a certain age, but there are people for me that have been reaching out in conversations that I ask, hey, well, Amy, you're going to be retired. What's something you've always wanted to do? What are you passionate about? What have you not been able to do before? Because I immediately go into cheerleader mode. And the constant thing that I've been hearing is, honestly, I'm just not interested in anything. I don't really know. I don't have a passion for anything. And I thought we could talk about, since we've been discussing vision boards, how do you fine tune a new vision? Maybe people are retiring. Maybe people have, changed jobs or something, or maybe you're just worn out. How do you readjust and get a new pair of glasses?
I think from what I have discovered with, myself and working with people, it's about getting quiet and unplugging from the natural rat race and just decide, maybe there's something that you've done in the past that you're passionate about, or maybe you just haven't, you haven't done anything, recently that brings you joy. And, it's a big thing when I'm working with clients is about, the difference between happiness and joy. And I'm like, don't try to live your life based on all these things that bring you happiness, because you'll be exhausted by then. Find the things that bring you some peace of mind, some joy, some relaxation. And if it's something that you really enjoy doing, then cultivate it into your life. You have to get quiet and outside of the complacent rat race that people have been in.
Dawn joins us. Hey, Dawn. Dawn usually, because of when we were on, had to watch the replay, but now she is here with us live. Dawn is an incredible singer, songwriter, just wonderful, has a new project coming out. And she was saying this topic hits home. She says, tune out the chaos and tune into yourself.
Yeah. And a lot of people don't know who they are. And so
Lord knows.
You have to dedicate, I said to somebody the other day, you have to dedicate time and energy to yourself, as much time and energy that you dedicate worrying or being anxious or scrolling or people pleasing. You have to dedicate time to yourself to figure out what it is that really sparks your interest and leaves you feeling satiated.
Mm-hmm. You know, a lot of times I think that people, and myself included, have taken what they do as a career choice and make that part of their identity. And when that, whether it's by your choice, physical choice, or someone else's choice, you don't get to do that anymore. Uh, Sometimes we have an identity issue that we have to kind of deal with. And we lose our passion, our joy, and whatever, because the thing that we've always used as our anchor for who we are changes. You know, it's like the world pivots and you don't.
Right. And sometimes it's about, this is one of those bleed overs into it, when we're so tangled up in what we do as a living, our livelihood, then we do often lose ourselves in that when it's around adoration from others and things of that nature. Mm-hmm. You lose yourself because the ego gets swept up in the self-esteem and the confidence and all that stuff. And then before you know it, you're doing something that you like to do, but it doesn't really grind your gears. You're not just mm-hmm. like, wow, I love this. And then it becomes, people will say, well, it's just what I do. It's who I am. And it's like, no, it's not who you are.
Mm-mm.
You're more than that career or that parenting role or spouse role or whatever. Don't limit yourself with that's who you are. Taking time to step outside, like I said earlier, that drudgery and the minutia of what you're doing all the time, just to find something about yourself that excites you. That mm-hmm. will lead you into doing things that bring you peace of mind.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, there's my cousin. Hey, Tim, how you doing? Hello, gals, he says. I was just talking with someone a few nights ago, and she lost her husband a few years ago. And sometimes getting over the loss of a spouse, you kind of get used to doing new things when that spouse is not there, because no matter who you are, if you've got a spouse in the house, they help determine what gets done socially, what you watch on television, all of those things. If you have a connection, a relationship, mm-hmm. It's like, I was talking to somebody yesterday who said, oh, we love getting a Netflix show and just watching each episode together. And I said, and you know what's funny is that if they're gone or they're late coming home or whatever, and you're ready to watch TV, you can't watch that show because you're cheating all of a sudden if you watch ahead on the Netflix show. Yeah. But this particular woman, she lost her husband a couple of years ago. She says, all he would let me watch, all he ever wanted to watch, not let me, she didn't use that term at all he wanted to watch was rodeos. She said, so I had really not ever seen the Super Bowl. And she said, so I decided I want to see what it was all about. She said, I don't really know anything about football, but she says, I just kind of watched because we just never watched it. It just wasn't what we watch, Westerns and cowboy stuff and all that kind of stuff. And I wonder if anybody is finding that, whether by death or loss like that. I wonder if anyone has lost a partner and then had to redetermine what it is you do with your time, with your off time. You deal with that a lot, I think, in your counseling with grief counseling and stuff. That's part of the grief, isn't it?
It is, but also in equal relationships, there's a balance. So it's not like, and that's also a generational thing. But there's more of a balance. So it's not quite, about programming and things like that. It's more whether or not they go to church anymore, or whether or not they want to do the Sunday whatever that they used to do, or whether or not they want to, go to certain things. I mean, that's all. There's all a mutual, balancing in that, but it is. It's an adjustment, and we do find new areas and new layerings of ourselves when we take time to just examine something new, just try something new, or revisit the things that you used to really enjoy doing. I work with a lot of people that'll say, oh gosh, in high school I did this, or in college I did this. Used to love doing this, but I haven't done that very much anymore. Or I haven't, whether it's, making essential oil combinations, or whether it's doing painting, or, all kinds of stuff, just all kinds of stuff. And it's like just revisiting some of those things, because sometimes those things that bring us joy get pushed out because life gets so busy, and
Right.
Finding time to bring those back in, or finding something new, completely new.
Well, Jill Pavel joins us, and hi, Jill.
Hey, Jill.
Hope everything's good in New Jersey. Elizabeth says, I definitely had to re-find myself after losing a partner. It's draining and exhausting at times, but so worth it. I love it. Oh, and Jamie Sanders. I missed hearing your voice, Devon. Well, Jamie, it's good to have you there. I miss seeing you on Facebook, and it's good to have you there. Sometimes those algorithms change and you don't even see people for a while. I've had to go back and look and go, did they drop me as a friend? Because I haven't seen them in forever. And no, the algorithms sometimes change on Facebook. And if that's the way you keep up with folks, you miss people sometimes. So, Jamie, it's really good to have you here. I think you're still in Florida. Am I right? I don't know. I thank you all for. Oh, yes, there's a heart. Well, anybody who wants to weigh in on this conversation, you can go to the comments page wherever you are, and it'll come to us here on the show. I think that sometimes in finding ourselves, I don't know the first step when Jamie is in Florida, Pensacola. When you get the rug jerked out from under you in any way, how do you start over in finding yourself? I mean, what are some steps as a life coach? I mean, how would you tell people and kind of get them moving in the right path?
A lot of people hate to do this, but I would say make mental notes or journal daily on things that you've noticed about yourself, not about the gratitudes or the platitudes, but the things you recognize about yourself. I really enjoy this. I don't necessarily enjoy that. I'm looking forward to this. I can't wait till this is over. And again, it's about unplugging. So often people try to find their self in other people's eyes. They try to find their self in other people's, especially with social media as saturated as it is these days. There's a multitude of different avenues people can go to professionally, LinkedIn, all the way down to, TikTok. There's all kinds of things that people can do, and they jump on there looking for something, but what's missing out of their life is, the missing element in their life is them. They're what's missing in their life, who they are as a whole, who they are, what they like, what their dislikes are. So often people just set those things to the side. So I would say intentionally and with great intentionality, carving out time every day. If it's when you wake up in the morning, if it's when you go to bed, if it's high noon, whatever, carving out some time to just focus on you. And it doesn't have to be a focus of, I've got to be doing something. How am I feeling? How do I feel? So often you ask somebody, how are you doing? Fine, I'm good. But really underneath the surface, and if you can read energy, they're not good. That something's going on, but we're just so geared to just shut it down because we want to either please other people or nobody wants to know what's going on. And so we lose a little bit more of ourself in that every time. So carving out time for yourself intentionally daily, unplugging from, whether it's social media, whether it's people, the drama, unplugging, from it, and just recognize what's happening in your body when you're not around that.
Yeah. There are things, and I don't know if anybody ever had. Hey, Angie, by the way, Angie joins us from North Carolina. I think that sometimes going back and looking at your little kid pictures, if you have an old photo album of your little self, or if you have a yearbook of previous years, and you might see things that you haven't thought about yourself in a long time. Maybe you've forgotten who that person used to be. Did you like to dance? I love to talk about my friend Lane, who could barely walk across the room a few years ago, and he took one of those free dance classes in his 70s for the first time. He had never taken one. It's one of those ballroom dance classes. And they said, oh, come for a free dance class. Well, he liked it so much now he's competing and he's dancing. He's a competition dancer and he's won all these competitions. But now not only can he walk across the room, but he works for Parks and Rec now, and he does all these outdoor activities. And I think that sometimes you forget some of the things that you love to do because life has taken over and taken you down a different path. You still have those things buried inside.
Absolutely.
But just remember, everything that you buried is somehow a seed that's just waiting for you to go, okay, let's put a little rain and sunshine on you.
And maybe it's something that you used to love to do, but now you don't really like to do it, but it brought you joy when you did enjoy doing it. Doesn't mean you have to, restoke that fire, but it just means just remembering that there are things that you enjoy. Again, as we become adults, especially if we live in a life where we're not taking care of our mental, emotional, physical selves, what happens is we become locked down with all the burden of life is hard. Life is exhausting. I don't have any time to sleep. I don't have this. And before you know it, people are complaining about all the things they don't have, but they're missing out on all of the beautiful things they do have.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Jill's weighing in. I have gotten very good at unplugging. I struggle with plugging back in. Okay, now that's something. Let's address that.
I mean, I think that's just a full, complete sentence right there. I think it's lovely when people, plugging back in sometimes when your social battery isn't ready for it can be challenging, but also we have to know where we're plugging in. Like, you don't have to plug back into the same place you pulled out from. You absolutely don't. You can plug back in somewhere else that gives you a sense of joy or fulfillment. Work things can be a little challenging because that's a day-to-day for people, but you don't have to, when you unplug from something that you need a break from, you actually don't have to plug back into it. You don't have to. You can plug into something else that you enjoy more, or something that you want to explore more of, and not plug back into the things that are just draining on you.
Mm-hmm. And Elizabeth says, I did that at Christmas, got a whole storage tub of photos from my littles from my mom. Those are always fun. Those are always fun to go back and see, because I think a lot of people have taken some of their stuff that they always wanted to do, and sometimes we forget. Honest to goodness, there are some things that I went back and I had a list that I made when I came of age of all the things I wanted to accomplish in my life. And with Jill says, I like that, Teri. She's like, that's good. But, I went back to this list of all the stuff that I wanted to achieve in my life and stuff. And I go, some people call it a bucket list. I don't, but because if it is, I need a new bucket.
Right.
Because I've done so much of those things, even though I've not looked back at that list. I made it when I was, 17 years old, the things I want to accomplish in my life. And it's so funny, the things that I didn't put on the list, like I didn't put marriage on that list. I didn't put kids on that list. I didn't put, but I want to do this, and I want to go to Ireland, and I want to see this, and I want to be in Australia. And it was weird. They're very, very specific things that were on that list. And now I go, okay, I've done a lot of those things. So obviously taking the time to do what you said, to journal, to write something down, the physicality of writing down something is very cool. I got a note today from Guidepost, and they said, hey, do you still want to write for us? And Yeah. Because that was one of those kind of dreams that I had forgotten. I didn't apply to work for them. They just picked up one of my books and offered me something, and years ago. And every year they asked me, do you want to still do this? But I'd forgotten it.
So,
Yeah.
every year they ask you if you want to still do this. Why are you not doing it?
No, I am doing it. I do it every year. They just renew it.
Okay. It's a reoccurring thing.
It's a reoccurring thing.
Okay.
And it happens every year. They go, you still want to do this? And every year I just take that as a little reminder of when I first got the call. Because when I was like 10 years old, I had a Miss Faith, who was my mom's college roommate, who my sister is named after. She gave us a subscription to Guidepost. And I said, God, one day I want to write for that magazine. And that's where it went. I never.
What is Guidepost?
Guidepost was created by Norman Vincent Peale, Power of Positive Thinking. And he was, he always talked about, he was a pastor, but it was all about very positive message, all about positive and words of hope and miracles and things that took place. And I loved this magazine, and I loved it. And so they created an animal imprint called All God's Creatures, and that's what I write for. And
Gotcha.
It's stories about animals and stuff. And but they called me out of the blue and said, hey, we saw one of your books, would you like to write for us? I was just, I think the term that they use in Canada or in the UK is gobsmacked.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, what? And I always think that those dreams we forget, but sometimes those dreams that we uttered as a little kid went out and God heard them, and he's just been waiting for you to, to be gifted and ready for them.
Right. I tell you, there's a really great book out there by,
thank you, Elizabeth.
I can't think. His name is, it's Martha, and I can't think of her husband's name, Piper. It's a book called Addicted to Unhappiness.
Uh-huh.
It's a really good book. I think a lot of people benefit from that, just reading it to find out the places that we get stuck and we don't recognize that we're stuck. That's a great tool, whether you listen to it on Audible or you get it free at the library and listen to it, or whether you rent it or buy it and, highlight the hell out of it, whatever. There's great value in that, because a lot of times we don't recognize how we can become addicted to the complacency that makes us unhappy.
Mm-hmm. Liz doesn't know a lot of people that are addicted to being unhappy.
Yeah.
And it's true. I mean, there are people out there. There was a book that I read a long time ago, and it might be written by the same people, Teri. It's called The Agony of It All. And it talks about the adrenaline push that we get from being in dramatic situations.
Right. Yeah. And it's Bill or William, Martha and William. They just came to me. But it's a really good book. And yeah, I think that's a lot of times people get stuck in that, and they're just like, because life can be overwhelming at times.
Look at there. Julie Malone just joined us.
Julie. Yeah. Julie's in Kansas.
Well, we are so glad that you guys are here. We got a full classroom tonight. We got a full group tonight, and we're glad to hear from you. I think the journaling and writing things down is really, really important. Looking through things and remembering who you used to be, but also coming up with some new things that you've never tried before. And sometimes you need to kickstart yourself. And I don't mean go jump out of an airplane. If that's your jam, though, go ahead on. Go sign up and do a tandem sky jump, whatever. That is never going to be one of my things. Never, ever, ever. But I do know that my friend Phyllis did, and she just loved it. She jumped out of an airplane, and it was pretty darn cool.
Mm-hmm. I think there's, when people plug into the fact that they've lived a lot of life,
mm-hmm.
and then are willing to look at the things that they actually enjoyed and the times that they enjoyed it, I think that you can extract wonderful nuggets and tidbits that keep you in a place of feeling true to yourself and authentic to who you are, and not having to trade out as many skins and masks that hang in the closet, because you're more authentic to who you are, and and you're going to shed some people when you become that, and you're going to gain some people when you become that.
Elizabeth says, I found myself doing a lot of things I've never done before. I remain open to new experiences with my soul sisters. It's freeing. I'm the same way. I mean, and one of the things that I learned from you, Teri, is if you don't know how to do something and you're letting that keep you from attempting something that you've always wanted to do, take a class.
Yeah.
Just learn. And in that class, 9 times out of 10, that class will have other people in it that are learning how to do something for the first time too.
Right. Or Google it, YouTube it, read a book on it, ask somebody that does it. There's so many, we limit ourselves because our confidence and our self-esteem get in there. And if we don't feel like we're a match for everything that everybody else is doing, then we feel less than. We're not supposed to be a match for everything that everybody else is doing.
And we're not even supposed to be good at everything we attempt to do. I mean, you might be really awful at it, but that's okay. I mean, you can be really awful at something and still have a really good time doing it.
100%. 100%. You can not be able to carry a tune in a bucket, and you can go to karaoke and you can laugh and you can have fun and you can fully encompass being a healthy, evolved person and not leave there thinking, oh my God, I'm horrible. I can't believe I did that. Why did I do that? I'm so stupid. Like that is an implicit belief that is buried beneath our adulting selves. And we stuff that down constantly. And every time that little belief comes up and says, I just want to learn something else, we just crush its fingers. We're just like, no, we can't. We'll look stupid. And it's like, that's a waste of life's breath.
It is. Somebody told me one time, and I was just like, oh my gosh, I was so embarrassed. I mean, I'll be embarrassed to try again. I'll be embarrassed to be blah, 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 blah. And this friend took me by the hands and she said, honey, nobody ever died of embarrassment. And I went, okay. All right. And your point is, I said, it still doesn't feel good. It's just like, is it? No, that's not my point. My point is try it and then learn to laugh. And with that laughter at the experience, you will find this great, talk about a rush of endorphins, talk about that dopamine, talk about laughing at yourself in a situation. I watched I think it was Instagram, TikTok, whatever, same thing. But there was a woman who was changing her oil, an older lady, and she was going to change her oil. She was underneath and she was holding the oil pan above her and undoing the thing instead of being beside her and and then it was all that, and it was filling up. And she said, oh my gosh. And it was on top of her. And she was trying, and then she ended up spilling oil all over her face, everything. And her husband was videotaping her. And he got so tickled at her. And then she got tickled and she got out and she's covered in oil. And then she started laughing. And then everybody I know, they had to be laughing like I was at this. When you see this, she could have gotten embarrassed. She could have gotten angry. She could have gone, why didn't you help me? None of that. She just started laughing. And that laughter not only blessed her, but everybody else. Right. Everybody else. I was sitting in my office last night waiting for something to load on my computer, and I was just laughing, and it felt so good. And I thought, I need to find that woman and tell her how grateful I am that she laughed at herself. Elizabeth says, the older I get, the less I worry about looking stupid. I think it's a gift that comes with age. Angie says, we laugh at ourselves a lot, don't we, EB and Jen? And there's Jen. There's Jen right there. I saw that video last night. we must be on the same thing. Yeah, Jennifer says all the time. Yeah. Learning to laugh at yourself is such a gift. It's such a gift.
Learning to laugh is a gift. Period. So many people are put in parental, guardian, adult modes when they're young, and the gift of just being joyful is siphoned out of them. And so we grow up feeling that and wanting to act on that impulse, but we don't act on that impulse because it's unfamiliar territory to us, and we'll feel stupid or we'll look silly, that kind of thing. And again, that is missing out on life. And I understand there's circumstances that happen to people or happen for people all the time that put them in these places where they just can't laugh at themselves. They can't be transparent. They can't be honest because they don't want that embarrassment. But nobody's really judging except them.
That's true. That's
I mean,
true.
I've worked with some people that can belt out tunes, and then they'll look at me and go, "Oh my God, that was horrible." And I'm just like, let me belt that out for you. Then let's compare your version of horrible. I mean, because I don't think I can sing. Well, I can sing. That's not true. I'm not CMA ready, but I can sing. Everybody can sing. You might sing like a cat meowing, or you might sing like, whatever, but you can still sing. Like, don't limit yourself by, oh, I can't draw, or oh, I can't color, or oh, I can't paint, or oh, I can't dance, or oh, I can't sing. That's all bullshit. You absolutely can. You might judge yourself that you're not as good as XYZ, but that doesn't mean you can't do it. You can do it.
And countless stories, I've had people who lost their vision with what they were doing in the career path. And then they did something that somebody else would say, why in the world did you leave to go do this? One friend left an advertising job. She was, head of marketing. She was just pulling in the big money. And she left and went to check out be a cashier at Publix. And I ran into her and she says, I am having the time of my life. She said, there's no pressure. Everybody's happy to see me because they're going home to cook what I am checking out. She said, they're just all happy. And she says, I love it here. Another guy left his career job and opened a Smoothie King. And he didn't hire people to go work for it. He loved making smoothies. He said, everything in my life gets better when I make somebody a smoothie. And he said, nobody ever hates my smoothies. Nobody. Right. I don't have to worry about the customer is always right because the customer is always happy. Right. And I thought, wow, career paths can change. And it may be that you've been going north all your life, but you just needed to head east.
And I'll tell you, as an end-of-life doula, sitting with people and talking with people and journaling their lives with them, there is, and people won't get this until they get it. And it's one of the things that I wish that when people hear it, they would take it to heart and they would really allow it to change their life the way that monumental things change. Like we wait for something pretty bad to happen before we go, oh, I got to change my life.
Right.
Life is so precious. And in the big scheme of things, we're here a handful of seconds. And to not be your biggest fan and to not love yourself completely, I know can be challenging to get there, but to not enjoy life and to laugh until your side hurts and to really fully feel all of your emotions, anger and sadness included. You're cheating life when you don't do that. You're cheating life when you don't allow yourself to live a fully encompassed life and feel it all and be grateful for all of it because you're a better human being because of it. And
I love it.
When we're better human beings, we enjoy, you tend to lean more towards things are okay in life, Even when they're not great, they're still good.
Oh, y'all, I'm so excited. Adonis Lindsay just joined us. Adonis is precious. He is a speaker, a pastor, and is the writer of just some really great books. Check out his books. Oh, and my favorite, the book, the Orange Book, The Next Right Thing. I can't remember. Adonis, put the name of that book down there because I want everybody to get it. It's how we met. You've got to be your own biggest cheerleader, and that is right. And there's Suzanne and Mark joining us. Hey to y'all. We're getting out of here real quick. before we get out of here, I want, if you guys have found something really funny lately, if you have a comedian or something, I want you to leave it in the comments. Mine right now. Oh, the book is called Next. I knew it. Next. Your next book, the next book. And I love you too. That book is so good. And it's one that I did not do on Audible. I got the book and I have highlighted it and crazy, but I never think about the title. I always get titles of books wrong, but it's got so much good, juicy nuggets in there that will help you. And it's so good. So I'm so glad he's watching tonight. But if you would leave your favorite comedians, I love watching comedy, and that really keeps me boosted. I don't know what it is, but I can just watch some. Mark goes, I'm a comedian. Yes, Mark, you are a comedian. Ali Sadiq is the guy that I just absolutely love right now. Ali Sadiq is one of the funniest people I've ever seen in my life. I'm not even his demographic, but he makes me roar. He and Ricky Smiley are just keep me laughing all the time.
Yeah, and that's part of it, right? Finding something that brings you that kind of laughter, that kind of anything that allows you to feel alive, because when you feel alive, you act on that. And, we work at such a deficit right now. If our cup is a 2-cup capacity, most people are running around at about a fourth of a 2-cup capacity, and they don't put enough joy, enough happiness, like enough contemplation, enough diversity. They don't put that in their life. So they just keep dwindling down that fourth of a cup. And then we feel depleted and defeated or deflated.
I love that. When you feel alive, you act on that. Wow. I just, y'all put that down in your little book today. That's one of those Teriism that's flows out of her mouth. And I go, yes, when you feel alive, you act on that.
Because when you feel alive, you are alive. And even if you're not feeling the endorphins, you can't argue that you're not alive. Your heart is beating, your lungs are working, your kidneys are functioning, your liver's functioning. You're alive. Now, what you choose to do with those moments in between that first breath and that last, that's on you.
Well, our scribe put, when you feel alive, you act on that. Thank you, Elizabeth. She put that down. Mark says Killer Bees is coming to the Pick and Post in Fort Payne, March the 1st. Tell him I said, hey, I love Killer. Adonis says, here's the book that Devon was talking about, and he's got a link in our comments. So if you guys are viewing this, take a look in the comments, and you'll find Adonis's book there. It's called Next, and it's really great. And the book that Teri was talking about, Addicted to
Unhappiness. That's Martha and William Piper. They're both, I think, both PhDs. But it basically works or tells people teaches people how to pay attention to the things that are reoccurring in their life that they're not necessarily happy with, but there are stuck nuggets. There are those places that it's like, they're like the car crashes in our life. Like you don't want to look, but you can't help yourself. So you just kind of keep veering back to those things that keep you stuck. And it's like, recognizing, oh, I do that, or, oh, my partner does that, or, oh, wow, my friends tend to do that. And also recognizing what you gain out of that thing that is that ickiness, because we all gain something out of it. We gain something out of the company and the thoughts that we keep. It doesn't mean it's something positive, but it's something that keeps us.
We get something out of all of it, and that's that was the Teriism that stung me. It's like, this is gonna sting a little, Devon. What are you getting out of this? And when you start looking at that and you go, oh, I have a choice. I can step out. And anyway, let's celebrate the new visions. Let us know via email, devonode@gmail.com. You can tell me some things that you want to see on future shows, what you're doing. And if you guys want to reach out to Teri, she does incredible one-on-ones with people all over the world. All over the world.
Both sides of the pond.
Yeah.
And above and below the equator.
Yeah. Just go to teripew.com. Well, you guys, we'll see you guys next Wednesday, and have a great rest of your week, everybody.
That's right. I hope all of your weekends unfold lovely for you. And And thank you again for joining us. Your time and your energy is never taken for granted. We know you could be doing 1,000 other things with your energy and your time. So we're honored that you choose to spend it with us because it enriches us and that's what we like. So, and I guess until we see you again, we can all collectively, those who listen regularly, know what we're going to say. Increase
the peace.